Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Sean Black, aka DFS 5050. You can follow me on Instagram at DFS 5050. Make sure to check out my Facebook page, which is DFS Portfolio. In this session, what I want to talk about, I want to attack the Sunday through Thursday morning. The Thursday through Sunday morning slate. And of course, if anyone knows about these short game slates, you definitely want to have you definitely want to go chalky, but you don't want to get so pretty in your value players to where you miss out on players that actually are going to perform. I took some projections. I modified some of the projections that I had here, that Daily Fantasy Nerd had in here. I just kind of compared it across some of the industry projections that they have for certain players. And surprisingly, one of the things that I saw across the industry was that people are projecting Aaron Rodgers to only give us about 16.6 fantasy points. And then, you got to think, for what he is doing with this particular salary amount, which is 8,600, I mean, that's really, not a good number to really pursue. For that same production, you can go with Brian Hoyer or Eli Manning, let alone you could probably go with Case Keenum. I feel Case Keenum could probably do a little bit more than what he's being projected, because I don't really believe strongly in the New York Giants defense like that. And they can get run on and they can get passed on. So that's just something to consider. So honestly, guys, as much as I love Aaron Rodgers, I'm personally going to fade him. I don't feel like he's going to really produce. And you know what? This might be the day where he just goes ham and goes for like 40 fantasy points, and he might be the one that actually takes it home. But you know what? I'm going to live and die by my decisions. And I'm just going to stick with the people that I have here. So I have Brian Hoyer, Eli Manning, Case Keenum, right? All right, so move along. Running backs here. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot more running backs and stuff like that in the selection. And right now, one of the things that I want to focus on is the top 4 running backs. All the other running backs, I mean, they'll see a couple of touches, but I don't really feel like they will do anything significant. The only person that I feel might be able to do something more would be Orleans Darkwa. And for anybody that uses this optimizer, especially if they're paying for it, you can always, change the projections based on what you're seeing in here. So let's say, for instance, Orleans Darkwa might go for 6 fantasy points, right? So once I made that change, he's going to get automatically bumped up in the list, because I do believe in his production. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to X out some of these players. Not saying that they're insignificant, just saying that for what we're trying to accomplish, they're not going to, be those players. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep that moving. Okay. All right, one more. All right, so we have our top 5 players there. And so now with what we have, we're looking at Todd Gurley, Jordan Howard, Rashad Jennings, Bobby Rainey, and Orleans Darkwa. Okay. And honestly, let's see, LA. Yeah. So honestly, I'm looking at it. Vegas is projecting this to be a low-scoring game on behalf of the Rams, and of course the Giants are projected to score the highest. But I'm expecting for Todd Gurley to have the majority share of the workload when it comes to the run game, And then, of course, Rashad Jennings. I feel Bobby Rainey it's either gonna be between Bobby Rainey or Rashad Jennings, because I mean, their value is pretty much the same between Jordan Howard, Rashad Jennings, Bobby Rainey. All their values are pretty much all the same. So if you're playing on FanDuel, especially, you just gotta pretty much figure out who you really want, who you feel is going to do the best. But of course, these are the 4 players that really stand out of the entire group for the Thursday through Sunday slate. And I like Todd Gurley and Jordan Howard. They're the chalk play. And if I was to do another lineup, I might do a value play and a chalk play, just switch it out like that. All right, so that's that for that. Let's see here. Let me get some water here. All right, so of course the chalk player of this weekend is going to end up being Odell Beckham Jr. Ty Montgomery is going to be on the list there because of his production last Sunday. Or was it Sunday? Yeah, I believe it was last Sunday. He put up 13.4 fantasy points because he was the acting running back for the Green Bay defense. I mean, for the Green Bay offense, considering that let's see, what's the guy's name? Eddie Lacy and Starks. They're not playing. They're both injured, and they're going to be out for a while. So, just something to think about. And we got Ty Montgomery, we got Alshon Jeffrey, Jordy Nelson, Cameron Meredith, Randall Cobb, Sterling Shepard, Tavon Austin, Kenny Britt. So, those are some people to really look at. Tight end wise, the only 2 people that really stand out to me would be Zach Miller and Lance Kendricks. And the Giants are not necessarily all that good against tight ends. So, that's something for for people to consider. You could target, you could probably maybe use Will Tye, but I don't really know how many touches he'll get in this particular game because I believe the Rams' defense against tight ends might be really good. So, that's just something to think about. And I think about that one time where they played against Green Bay, Richard Rodgers and Brandon Cook, they weren't really seeing a lot of touches in that particular game. I do believe that Green Bay will be going to the air a lot in this game. And then when it comes down to the get down, they'll definitely be using other players. But in any case, that's what you have in the tight ends. For kickers, the top projected kicker will be Mason Crosby. And one of the reasons why I feel he's a top rated kicker for this particular slate is because no one's really sure how Aaron Rodgers is going to perform. And usually, whether Aaron performs good or not, Mason always tends to see the field goal line all the time. So for that, he has more opportunities, I feel like, than most others. The second person will be Josh Brown. Another person that I would look at would be Greg Zerlin. And the reason I say Greg Zerlin is because if LA has a hard time getting to the end zone, or the red zone, I should say, they're going to be kicking the ball a lot. And this guy, he's able to kick the ball. He's pretty accurate. He didn't really see a lot of touches the last game, but against Buffalo, I mean, if the New York Giants do a good job of stopping the run or stopping the pass game, and these guys can get close enough, I'm pretty sure they're going to depend heavily on Zerlin to kick in those field goals to at least be able to compete. All right. Top defenses for this slate will be the Packers and the Rams. The Packers, I'm not too hot on. I'd rather go with the Rams because well, you can go with either one, really, honestly. You got to go with, who's allowing the most points. And I don't know. I just have a feeling that Chicago's going to light the Green Bay Packers up. And unless, they really do some rushing and some sacking and stuff like that, I don't feel too hot about their production being justified. So it's accurate for us to say that, they will score about 9 fantasy points. So that's just something to think about. All right. So those are some scenarios that I want to run by you. And I want to move on to the next segment, and that's the projected usage rate. So if you're a subscriber of Daily Fantasy Nerd, this is an awesome tool that you can use. This really can help you, see who's who. Of course, the way they weigh everything is the projected player opportunities, pass attempts plus rush attempts plus targets, divided by the team opportunities, pass attempts, rush attempts, watch not. For anybody that want to check that out, watch the tutorial. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the usage percentage, and I would say, okay, Brian Hoyer is one. Check out another usage. You got Todd Gurley, RB2. You got Rainey. All right. Wide receiver 1 is going to be Montgomery. Wide receiver number 2, just based on value, I will go with Meredith. And then tight end, of course, we're going to go with Zach Miller. Okay. All right. So we have that scenario right there, right? So all those players are locked in, ready to roll. And what we're going to do is we're going to run the optimizer. Okay. So the optimizer has Brian Hoyer, Todd Gurley, Bobby Rainey, Cameron Meredith, Ty Montgomery, Jordy Nelson, right? Zach Miller, Josh Brown, and the Green Bay Packers as defense, right? So in a situation like this, I like Jordy, but we don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. We don't know if he's getting some or not. So for a situation like that, I'm going to go ahead and lock in Odell Beckham Jr. I believe Odell is 86. Jordy's okay. Yeah, I have enough cap space to afford Odell Beckham, so I'm going to plug him in. Okay. So right now, what I have here, I have Brian Hoyer, Todd Gurley, Bobby Rainey, Odell Beckham Jr., Cameron Meredith, Ty Montgomery, Zach Miller, Connor Barth, and the Green Bay Packers defense. So what I can do, if there's something that I don't like from what I locked in, what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to my kicker section, and I'm going to double check and make sure I don't have a lot of Green Bay. I only have 2 players from Green Bay, which is Montgomery and the Packers defense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock in Crosby. And once I do that, I should be okay. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So we got Brian Hoyer, Gurley, Rainey, Beckham, Meredith, Montgomery, Miller, Crosby, and the Packers D. So that right there is projected to score 113 fantasy points, which, considering that's the case, guys, that's going to be good for cash games. It's going to be good for double ups because you're not going to need a lot of points in these 2-game slates. And, you can basically go from there. There's another way we can, target that, if you were to just remove all these players, let's say, for instance, reset locks. I'm going to reset the locks there. All right, and if we just run the algorithm again, if we just run it by itself, it's going to give us Eli Manning, Rashad Jennings, Todd Gurley, Ty Montgomery, Alshon Jeffrey, Odell Beckham Jr., Zach Miller, Josh Brown as the kicker, and Green Bay as the defense. And that give you a score of 115.3, in which that's good for cash and double ups. And of course, if these guys exceed their projections, then of course you're going to easily cash in the GPPs as well. Wanted to keep this one short and sweet. I really want to thank you guys for checking this out. Make sure you follow me on my social media sites, as well as if you're really interested in the lineup optimizer. This is really the lineup optimizer that I use, and there's so many things that you can do with it. There's so many ideas you can run through it. If you were to upgrade your subscription, if you have projections from another site or something like that you want to implement into the optimizer will integrate very well with it. And you can just create your multiple lineups if you're attacking GPPs, or if you just want to do cash and double ups and do those. You can do it through this particular site as well. Just something for you guys to think about. Remember, in this business of DFS, there's two things that I stand by. I stand by faith and I stand by skill. I make it my business to go out and listen to podcasts, check out beat writers, stay up on the news, do my research as to who's really going to do what. One of the basics that I do for my research, I look at the defense versus position for every single position here, that the player, for the players. So, if you want to play it based on defense or position, you would say that Eli Manning has the better matchup. Eli Manning has the better matchup of the three players that we picked. Let's see, if we were to go back down to Aaron Rodgers, his matchup, it's okay, but it's not all that, because Chicago defense is pretty good. All right, so check this out. So Eli Manning, his DVP is at 7%, so he's in a good position. Running back situation, if you put the lesser of the two evils, you would say Todd Gurley and Rashad Jennings are in good matchups. Okay. In the wide receiver game, Beckham is in the best matchup. Sterling Shepard is in a good matchup. Victor Cruz is in a good matchup. So any one of those guys can go off. But of course, in these two game slates, you definitely don't want to get fancy. Just go with the chalk, and then you fill in wherever else needed. Ty Montgomery, he's going to be in the running back position, so he's going to get you points in the rush and in the pass. Jordan Nelson is a good pivot, if you don't want to go with Odell Beckham. In the tight end, let's see here, we got Zach Miller, and then we have Lance Kendricks. So according to the DVP, Zach Miller is in a better matchup. But the thing is, you want to consider what's going on with him. So I guess you have to wait till the last minute to figure out if he's going to play or not. Usually with the NFL, especially in DFS, they usually are very quick to let people know that, hey, this person is going to be injured. They're not going to play. So if he doesn't play, I'm definitely locking in Lance Kendricks. Guys, a person to watch out for, and you just have to do your own due diligence on this one, is Kenny Britt. Kenny Britt and Case Keenum seem to have a good chemistry, and his points have been going up since the week started. Excuse me. So that's someone to look at. And remember, New York Giants pass game is not necessarily all that, so they can get scored on. I was telling somebody on Instagram via DM about that. So, that's just something that, you want to consider and take a look at. Again, guys, remember, faith and skill. Have a great day. Have a good luck in week 7. I look forward to hearing, your results, and I personally look forward to making some big money this weekend, as we all desire. And project ourselves to do. But this time around, the more you learn, the more you earn, right? All right? Y'all take it easy. Peace, faith, and skill.